Hi there, I'm Brissa Cabe, the Digital Learning Specialist here at LCMS. Welcome to our App Chat for Educators podcast, where we'll explore different apps, instructional strategies, and other digital resources for education. Thanks for tuning in. This week, I'm here with Olivia Hanna and David Reed, two of our rockstar teachers here at LCMS. David, Olivia, please tell us a little bit about yourselves and your roles here on campus.
So I'm Olivia Hanna. I'm a first-year teacher here at LCMS. I teach 7th and 8th grade social studies, so Texas history and U.S. history. I student taught here last year, which was amazing, and now it is my first year teaching, and I'm loving it so far.
I'm David Reed. I teach 6th grade RLA, Reading Language Arts. This is my second year here at LCMS, and it has always been a blast. I love my team. I love my content and my kids. It's just awesome.
I know, speaking for myself and speaking for your teammates, we love having you here at LCMS because you both contribute so many great things to your departments. Speaking of which, we're here today to talk about one way that you've both made your classrooms super engaging for your students. From what I've seen and heard from the both of you, you're both innovative and you don't shy away from trying new things. I am super excited to have you both here to talk about one of my personal favorite digital learning tools, Apple's app, Freeform. Now, some educators across our campus, our district, and even the world, just like you two, have taken Freeform and just run with it. But there are still a few out there who may be unfamiliar with this relatively new tool. Whether you've taken the time to explore or not, it's really a pretty neat app. Could you both tell us a little bit about what Freeform just is?
So Freeform is basically just a digital whiteboard that is already installed in the iPads for our students. It's pretty awesome because there's just endless amount of opportunities that you can create and that you can make for your students and have your students create as well. I mean, you can have students be as creative as possible, and then it also can allow you to do just like so many cool different things and so many shapes and tools and things that you can add to it. And then of course it's endless, so you can keep adding on, you can do all these different things with it.
For me, I love Freeform because it's full of endless possibilities. There's no it doesn't hold you back. It's very versatile. You can use it for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of things. I feel like I've just barely scratched the surface of what we can do with Freeform and how we can use it in the classroom. Like you said, it is an endless whiteboard. You never run out of space. I was playing with it today, trying to move an object to see how far I could go, and it just kept going, which is awesome. And it's a great tool for note-taking. It doesn't limit the students' creativity, and as long as it's done well, it is a perfect tool for collaboration.
Awesome, and I love that you both alluded to there's just so many possibilities. It's a very versatile app, and that can really engage our students and give them a level of creativity that they may not see on different platforms. But at the same time, it also takes some creativity from us as educators to figure out what do we want from our students, how are we going to have them use this, etc. So can you both kind of tell us about ways that you've used Freeform in your classroom with your students?
So for history, we use a lot of maps. Maps are very important when we go over, dates and events and things like that. So I use Freeform to kind of elevate what would just be like a typical map. So instead of it just being, okay, pinpoint these dates, right? Now we can change it to Freeform, have the map, and we can add pictures, we can have them draw things, they can add text, they can add stickers, they can do all these things. As well as when we do research projects in social studies too, we actually just finished a cowboy character map, and what would just be just a normal, research project, now we add Freeform into it, so it allows so much more creativity. They created a memoji of the cowboy's face. They got to draw the cowboy and what an outfit might look like, as well as, adding all of these quotes and sticky notes and videos and all these different things, and it allows kids to kind of what we've been talking about, just be as so creative. And it's really fun as a teacher to see what your kids can produce and all the cool things they can use with Freeform.
In RLA, it is a wonderful tool for note-taking, and especially for like vocabulary words. We've used it there to sort of create the vocabulary word, and then you can branch off of that shape that you've made and include the definition and some examples and make connections, and you can connect certain vocabulary terms together and things like that. And then also this week, we're using it to do a sort of think-along plan where we have one text that we're focused on for the week, And each day of the week, we have a separate box where kids can collaborate, add sticky notes with their responses to some questions, and work together. And so we've been doing that. I've also used it the first time that I really started to use it, I used it as a gallery walk. So using Keynote, they created apps that went through the plots of different Pixar short films. And then I took all of those keynotes and I slammed them onto this Freeform and locked them into place and put it view only, so the students go in there and they can open up each separate app, play with it, go through it, and then it's basically just like a giant gallery walk, all contained within that Freeform, which was super cool. They didn't have to go anywhere, or I could put as much in there as possible without having to sort of, it didn't limit me in space like just putting it around the classroom might do. So.
And I really appreciate that you both invited me into your classrooms to see your student products, and y'all have sent me pictures and screenshots of things that your kids are doing with Freeform, because like I said, it's one of my personal favorites, so it makes my heart really happy to know that y'all are taking it and running with it, not just using it as a platform for one particular way, but using it in multiple ways and having your kids use it to create and not just consume content. So y'all have both talked about sticky notes and collaboration and emojis, but what are some of your personal favorite features that Freeform has to offer?
So mine would have to be, since I'm a social studies teacher, it would have to be just the shapes, and then being able to scroll through. I mean, there's like hundreds of different shapes you can use, and then kids can add colors to it and designs to it and all those different things, as well as the places on the shapes as to, pulling out a US map or pulling out Texas and all those different things. That has to be my favorite part of Freeform.
I'd say one thing that's great for, especially for RLA specifically, but I think you could probably do it in science and social studies as well, is being able to just throw the PDFs in there, because it doesn't take up all this space. You don't have all the separate pages. The whole PDF is in there, one little square that you tap on, and you can go in, you can annotate, do all that you need to, and then it's all right there. And it's not taking up all this room. It's great because like the think along plan that we're doing, I have the text that we're working with in a PDF, and when they open that up and they annotate on it, it doesn't mess up somebody else's. It's just their annotations, and they can go back and look at it throughout the week as we're working on it. But it's not taking up the whole Freeform. It's just right there. They can go back to it, and I think that's super cool.
And I think both of what you're talking about, shapes, PDFs, annotation, all the different markup tools too, they're powerful because they're all right there in Freeform. Your kids don't have to be kicked out to different places to find different things to add, or you as teachers don't have to go searching for something. You can all put it right there in Freeform. It's accessible, it's easy to find, and it's right there in one place. So another question for you. Many of our teachers have started using Freeform with their students in other different ways, including interactive card sort activities, having students create character concept maps, kind of like your cowboy character maps, text annotation like you alluded to, David, visual vocab journals, and more. But do you have any other ideas for using it moving forward in your own classrooms that might benefit other teachers in theirs?
Honestly, I think that's what's the great thing about Freeform is I may not have an idea right now, but it's also something like as a teacher, it's fun to just play around with, right? You get to see all these different things you can do, and then of course you can take ideas from other people and then modify it and morph it into what's going to fit you in your classroom. I don't really have an idea yet though. I mean, one thing that I do as a teacher that other teachers can use is I actually use Freeform to make anchor charts. I do not have the best, beautiful, handwriting, but with Freeform, I can do that. I've actually been I've been finding anchor charts that I like, and I've been making them my own on Freeform, and then of course I'll print them out and use them in my classroom, or I'll just post them in Google Classroom and all those things. So I guess that's an idea.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, that
Great
is.
idea.
One thing that I didn't talk about that we actually also have done is Carrie had made some stations that were Valentine's Day specific, some Valentine's Day stations that were still related to argumentative text that we've been talking about. And instead of throwing my students out into the pod to do those stations, which can get complicated with our schedule and when passing periods are, I took those stations and I put them onto a Freeform. So that instead of my students having to get out into the pod, which can be great, it can be awesome to go out there, but sometimes you want to kind of keep them contained into your classroom. But throwing those stations onto that Freeform, also allowing them to collaborate. I know I sent you some pictures of those, and it was a lot of fun seeing the sticky notes, having them collaborate, put their opinions on there and things like that, and their responses, and then reacting with the memojis. I love reacting with the memojis. I think throwing those in is so much fun. But yeah, if you have any stations, you can just easily throw them right there onto the Freeform. Makes it a little bit easier, and especially if you have students who are missing a lot, once you send them that Freeform, wherever they're at, they get it. You know, they don't have to be in your classroom to get that Freeform. So if you have a student who might be out because of, I know Ag is doing a lot of stuff right now. You know, if you have students who are out for that, they can get that Freeform, they can still collaborate, they can still participate with everyone else without having to be in the classroom. So I think that's really cool too. Anything that you have, it's a good way to keep it all in one place. Like I said, the possibilities are endless. I think anything that you have assignment-wise, there's a way to figure it out and put it onto a Freeform.
So we've talked about how we three really love Freeform. It's great, it's cool, it's fun, it's innovative. But here's the question that I think other educators are really going to be asking themselves. Is it worthwhile? How do you think this tool and the ways that you've used it in your classroom have actually impacted learning for your kids?
Well, to me, it's like the ultimate form of learning and understanding, right? Because now you are having your kids interact with the content versus just looking at it or just writing things down, right? It's a whole different way of learning for them, which is why I think it's so worth it. Because, I mean, they are morphing things, they're modifying things, they're doing research, they're adding things. So what would normally just be, you know, paper, writing this stuff down that can get, you know, well, sometimes we need it, but, you know, it can be mundane and they do the same thing every day. Now they're getting to create and interact with the content, which I think is just like a whole new thing for the kids, and it helps them learn and grasp the content so much better. Like in my opinion, when we did the Texas Revolution battle maps, like my kids rocked it on their test because they knew those battles, they knew where they were located, they knew the information about it, and I really think it's because they were interacting with the content on the battle map.
And I appreciate that you're using some of those Hires Bloom's taxonomy words, not just transferring knowledge, but they're modifying it, they're interacting with it, they're creating using what they've learned, so that's awesome.
Absolutely. I think I've noticed a lot of, because especially, you know, in RLA, there's tons of vocabulary words as we're getting into these, adding some vocabulary words, building on top of each other. And before I was using Freeform, they weren't always remembering those terms. But as we got into the Freeform and I let them sort of be creative with how they're writing it down and how they're making connections, they started to remember them better. Like I've noticed that because I guess there's more buy-in, there's more creativity, it's more making it their own, it's sticking with them a little bit better. And then as we're doing the collaborative stuff, I feel like students learn better in a social collaborative environment where they can sort of bounce off of each other's opinions and ideas and see other people's points of view. And so that has just sort of brought in this, I think, a higher understanding of things, to be able to see, oh, that's how that person said it, as opposed to how I said it. And maybe we can bring them together and bring those ideas together to just create a deeper understanding of the subject.
Absolutely, and I agree with both of you. It's about kids buying into what they're learning and taking ownership of what they've learned. And I mean, Freeform, in my opinion, especially how I've seen y'all use it, is key to differentiation as well, because you're giving kids that voice and choice that gives them that deeper understanding and gives them that opportunity to learn from each other, not just from you as the teacher. As I've said earlier, it's definitely become one of my favorites because of its sheer versatility and its endless possibilities. So I'm absolutely pumped that teachers like you are taking Freeform and running with it. Is there anything else that you'd like to share before we wrap up our time?
The only thing I'll add on to it real fast is that, like, it's just, Freeform is fun, and it can be a little daunting at first because you're like, oh, this endless whiteboard, like, what am I going to do with it? But as you start to, you know, kind of get ideas from other people, and as you start to, you know, form a thing, like, Freeform is just a lot of fun for you to create as a teacher, but also just a lot of fun for your kids. Your kids will love it, you'll love it, and then you'll have a lot of fun coming up with new creative ideas to give to your kids. And then of course your kids will have fun getting able to use the Freeform as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I told this story a little bit earlier today, but last Thursday I was feeling a little iffy and I couldn't get my brain to calm down, and I actually played with Freeform, which helped me sort of calm my brain down, and I was doing something productive for my classroom, which helped alleviate some of my anxiety at the point, right? Because I was actually being productive, which made me feel good. And I just want to say, like, if you are daunted by it, if you are afraid of it, don't be. Like, if you need someone to help you out, I'll just volunteer. I can help you out. We can play with it because that's how much I love it. So if you're afraid to use it, or if you just don't know how to get started with it, I'll volunteer. Come and see me, and we can figure it out, work through it together. Because it honestly is so much fun once you get into it. It is a blast to play with and a blast to have your students work in it. So.
Well, Olivia, David, that about wraps up our time. I really, really appreciate y'all coming here and sharing your perspectives on this relatively new tool. It's been around for a little over a year now, but I feel like it's still something we're all kind of just feeling out, figuring out how to use it best with our learners. So I really appreciate your different perspectives from different content areas where you're just getting your kids to create, to show learning, and giving them that ownership and deeper understanding. So thank y'all for joining us today. I loved getting to learn about how you and your students have used Freeform. Listeners, stay tuned in the coming weeks for more AppChats with other LCMS educators. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.